And welcome back to Hannity. The tense standoff between Somali terrorists and Kenyan security forces continued for the third straight day today at the Westgate shopping mall in Nairobi, Kenya. Now, the horrific terrorist attack began Saturday when an estimate of 10 to 15 members of an al-Qaeda-linked group, Al-Shabaab, entered the mall and opened fire and set off grenades, killing at least 62 people, injuring close to 200 more. Now, the terrorists moved through the mall, asking shoppers whether they were Muslim or not, freeing only those that could prove they were, in fact, Muslim. According to officials, Kenyan security forces are currently in control of all floors of the mall after gunfire echoed from inside the heavy smoke from a fire that was seen filling the air all throughout the day today. At this hour, officials believe all the hostages have, in fact, been released. Here with reaction from Act for America, Brigitte Gabriel, and terrorism expert Steve Emerson. Let me talk about this, the al-Qaeda Somalian affiliate Al-Shabaab. What do you know about them, Brigitte?
Well, Al-Shabaab is linked to Al-Qaeda and have been working with Al-Qaeda. Actually, Al-Qaeda has trained and provided training facilities and facilitates communications between Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and the Al-Qaeda Central. We know that a lot of the Al-Shabaab went and fought with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, in Yemen in particular. We know that they are very trained and very sophisticated. They comprise about 7,000 to 9,000 members, and they are recruiting actively in the United States from the Somali communities in the United States.
Steve, what can you add to that?
Well, the Washington Post reported tonight, I usually don't quote the Post, but they quoted the Kenyan foreign minister as saying that several of the attackers spoke English. Now, what that indicates, together with U.S. intelligence, which has known for that in Al-Shabaab, there are upwards of 100 Europeans and Americans fighting for Al-Shabaab. They have become the new Al-Qaeda Central. No longer is Afghanistan the center of gravity or Yemen the center of gravity. This is a seminal act, Sean. This will propel them into becoming the new Al-Qaeda franchise around the world, I fear, because of the fact that it's so internationalized right now.
So, for example, when we talk about the incidents that were missed in terms of us recognizing the war with Al-Qaeda and a war on terrorism, we talk about the embassy bombings in Kenya, Tanzania, the first Trade Center bombing, the USS Cole. Now we may refer to this as the rise of Al-Shabaab?
This could be the seminal incident that propels them into becoming the new face of Al-Qaeda, because, one, in a perverse way, the success of this mass hysteria, publicity, the mass killings, the fact that they took their time in actually doing surveillance, like the Mumbai massacre several years ago, will recruit new members. Number two, they already have Americans with American passports. They have Dutch with Dutch passports.
How did they get these Americans? Because let me throw that to Brigitte. Brigitte, how did they recruit these Americans?
Well, they are recruiting them from the Somali communities here in the United States. We have a huge Somali community, for example, in different parts. And actually, part of the bombers who were involved in this Kenya attack from 6 American communities, from Arizona, from Maine, from Illinois, from Kansas, from Minnesota. So what they're doing, they're recruiting from them. One of the most notorious, one of the leaders, actually, of Al-Shabaab was Hammami from Alabama. He was recruited at the University of Alabama. He was actually the president of the Muslim Student Association.
Then let me ask both of you, and I'll start with you, Steve, first. I contend that when we look back 30 years from now, we're going to refer to this time in history as the rise of the radical Islamist. And I mean by Egypt, and obviously what's happening with Syria and Iran, and now this is all spreading into Africa, North Africa in particular. So my question to you is that, in fact, what we're dealing with, the rise of radical Islamists, and that this now is the single greatest threat in terms of a radical ideology the world faces?
I agree with you 100%. In fact, what we've seen in the past, Sean, in the past decade or the past decade and a half, was Al-Qaeda's rise. But now we're seeing basically a proliferation of smaller movements that are tethered to Al-Qaeda's ideology, but are a subset of radical Islam. So the jihadists in Syria, the jihadists in Chechnya, the jihadists that are in the United States, all the lone wolves, the 70 plots since 9/11.
In Europe.
These are... And in Europe, of course, in Europe, every single day, it's not in the American press, every single day there are arrests of jihad. Just yesterday, there were arrests of 5 jihadists in London. Every single day there are arrests throughout Europe because of the amount of jihadists throughout that have basically immigrated to Europe and basically pledged allegiance not to their host country, but to the jihad.
Right,
and they have European passports, John, so they can travel with impunity around the European continent.
And Brigitte, doesn't this fit into the model of this caliphate or desire for a caliphate, as they ask people in the small, you know, questions about the Quran, about Islam, and if they don't get it right, they kill them. They get it right, they're set free.
Exactly, and that's exactly what they did in Kenya. They asked people with a gun to their head to recite the Shahada. If they did, obviously they were Muslims and they let them go. Those who didn't, they shot them, including young boys. That's their modus of operandi. But Al-Qaeda means the base, Al-Qaeda. And it doesn't matter what different names terrorists go by or different terrorist organizations, what they share is the ideology of Al-Qaeda, and that's what we're facing worldwide.
All right, thank you both for being with us. And in that vein,